Hi, I'm Rob Harris, your host of the show, 5 Minutes of Fame in Fenton. And for our 12th episode today, I have a very, very special guest. This show is due to be released on the Monday before Father's Day. And even though a lot of people in town think my guest is my father, he's actually my father's father.
Grandfather.
Thanks for coming on, Grandpa.
Thank you.
What's your real name?
We had Robert, it runs in the family.
Yeah.
You couldn't find another name.
So we go by Bob.
Yeah,
Bob.
Bob.
And then changed it up for Rob
Yeah,
for me.
he screwed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? Well, I don't know if you know this, but you're actually one of the powerful inspirations that I've had for this whole Fenton TV project. As you know, my goal is to meet with local people and capture their stories and present them here. And among the many accomplishments that you've had, you're also, I think, an accomplished author. And today we're here to talk about your books. Is that right?
Fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what inspired you? How did you get into becoming an author?
Well, I've always, I didn't always think, but when I was about 80 years old, I said, well, you know, I've been telling stories and had a varied life and that I should leave some of this behind for for you and for the grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And so I decided to write, and I really started out writing this. I call this book, That's Another Story, because...
Yep, hold it. You can hold it up.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I was just, the idea was I was going to write the stories I've been telling. Everybody has stories they tell over and over again. Well, I started doing that, and then Shelley Cleaver worked in this office.
Yep.
She started reading my stories. She said, I don't know which one came before. How old were you? So I wrote half of the book is a chronological about my life. Okay. And my family's life. And the other half is all the stories that occurred to things that happened in my life.
Right.
So they got me started. And
so you captured your stories.
Yeah.
And then you moved on to...
Well, the next thing that happened that really started me writing a lot is my friend Bob Derry was in really his terminal illness.
Yeah, I remember Bob.
And I used to go over and visit him 2 or 3 times a week just to keep his spirits up, which he really was very good about it. But as we were talking, we talk about all the people and the people that ran the village, the people that ran the schools, the businessmen downtown, the football games, the parties, whatnot, you know, all about the past. And sometime during that time, I got a tablet out and I started putting down all these names of people that were involved at the time. And I finally said to Bob, or he may have said to me, you know, we ought to put this down.
Okay.
You know, we ought to let people know what happened back then.
Right.
So I slept on it, and overnight I came back with a title of Bob, and I said, Bob, I got the answer, the title. You know, Shakespeare said that people play many parts, and they play on many stages. So you look at all the people who are in government, some who are also in the business, some people, they're on many stages playing their parts.
Yeah.
So I said, we call them the village players.
Okay.
His first reaction was no, that we couldn't do that because of the theater group.
The local theater.
I said, well, they won't mind. Let's go ahead. So we did. And so the first book I wrote was, I took my high school years, which was 1937 to 1941.
Okay.
And I wrote, the information came mostly from the 2 newspapers, the Independent and the Courier they had at the time, and from the people who are still living who lived this time, my classmates, whatnot. And so we wrote that one about 1937 to 41, but that's when the war broke out.
Okay.
So I felt compelled to write about what happened during the war years. So this is the village players during the war years. Okay. And it's 42 to 45. And in the middle of that, there's a lot of stories about Fenton boys or men at that time. Sure. Especially there's 4 war stories in the middle that I think are really gripping. And about 4 individuals, and it just turned out that one was in the Air Corps, one was in the Marines, one was in the Navy, and one was in the Army. I didn't plan it that way, but that's turned out.
All from Fenton.
Yeah, all from Fenton. And I love those stories.
Wonderful.
And well, then so we have you get into this and so you got to keep going. Yeah. So then it's a post-war. What happened in the post-war? We all came back. You know, I didn't. I stayed in the Marine Corps for about almost 25 years. Right. So I didn't leave the Marine Corps until 1965. But all my friends in that from Fenton, they all came back, and they were looking for jobs, and they were having families, and it was the baby boomers. So the next one I wrote was about the post-war years of 46 to 50.
Great.
And I was thinking about putting the Gerber baby on there, and I talked to the Gerber people, and they never gave me a positive response.
Oh, okay.
So I decided to put my own, my wife Marie, your grandmother, and your father is a baby and a young man. They're the baby boomers, so I used that for that time.
That's great.
Well, then, being a Marine all that time,
I
decided to write about my Marine Corps history.
Right.
And this is all about the Marines. And
what's that one called?
It's called Many Come, Few Are Chosen. That was something we used to say in the Marine Corps, that many come, but only few are chosen to be Marines. Yeah. I also found out it's a biblical.
It's a biblical thing. Yeah.
Yes, I found out when I went to church with you. I didn't know that. But as I say, people like General Eisenhower and General MacArthur, they are compelled to write about their life. It's so earth-shaking decisions they had to make. Mine was just an ordinary Marine with a couple of interesting things.
I'll bet. But
somebody may like to read that. And then, after being a Rotarian, I was one of the two guys that started the Fenton Rotary Club. So when we were celebrating our 20 years, Rotary was also celebrating their 100th year.
Right.
So I took and I wrote about the first 20 years of the club, each year being a different president, and so forth. And now I am working, and if God willing, I'll have the next one out, which is about the 51 to 55 period, which is really dominated by the Korean War.
And continue the Village Players.
Village Players series. This time, I don't know what the name is going to be, during the Korean period or something like that.
Amazing.
And I've got all the research done, and I've written about 20 pages out of about 350.
Okay. Well, that's a start.
But I've had a lot of things happen. Of course, your grand my wife passed away a little over a year ago. And then I've had difficulty with my back, so the things. But I'm going to get.
You're pressing forward.
I'm getting going.
You're a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Oh yes, that's true.
Yeah,
that is. I love the Marine Corps.
If somebody out here in the audience wants to purchase any of these books, what's the best way to get hold of them?
Well, the Open Bookstore downtown,
right down in Dibbleville.
I think they have everything there.
Okay.
And the museum has the books. The Fenton Museum open on Sundays. They have the books about Fenton, and
we have some here at Harris Financial.
Yeah, you can always come here.
Yep.
Yeah, and
is it on Amazon?
Oh yeah. Oh, that not all of them, but
not all of them. Okay.
My Marine Corps book is an ebook. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
And at $4.95.
That's a bargain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think you donate some of the proceeds to the Fenton Museum, or.
Well, I haven't done that lately. The first book.
Yeah.
All the proceeds, all the after costs, all what would be profit.
Yeah.
It was donated to the Fenton Museum. It amounted to about $5 a book, and we sold about 200 books.
Wonderful.
So it gave them some money to work with.
That's great. Well, I think we've got our 5 minutes in. Is there any final thought you'd like to share with our audience here?
People be surprised what people in Fenton have done over the years and doing right now, and somebody will record in the future. But it was not a sedentary.
Yep, it's not a what?
It was not a sedentary population.
No.
They were active and moving and doing a lot of good things.
All right. Excellent. Well, hey, this is the part of the show where we're going to say, hey, Fenton, thanks for giving us 5. Take care and be well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Grandpa. Well, that was fun. I hope you enjoyed this episode of 5 Minutes of Fame in Fenton. Hey, would you like to appear on this show, or do you know somebody that should? Please send us your ideas for the shows at FentonTV.com. If you're watching this show on Facebook, please click that share button and share this show with all of your friends. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to the Facebook page, go to FentonTV.com directly. That's ideas at FentonTV.com. Well, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned and be well.